Hey everyone, my name is Carla R. Jenkins, and welcome to an all new episode of Projectized, my project management show. For those who are new, welcome. I am a certified project management professional, certified Scrum and IDO, with over 12 years of experience in project management. So I've done project management in all three major life cycles, which is waterfall, traditional, agile, and iterative. Moreover, I've also worked on projects in both the private and public sectors as well as small, medium, and large size business. And I created this show, Projectized, for three reasons. For one, the business of project management. Two, how businesses use project management. And three, how to obtain project management certification. So this whole week, I am doing a 5-part series about the project management domains and the processing groups. So throughout this week, I have done initiating, planning, executing, and today, since this is the fourth day, I am doing monitoring and controlling. So, for those who are new to project management, there are 5 project management processing groups, and they each do things differently. And the reason why I'm doing this series with Projectized is because I want to better educate people with project management. So the one key characteristic about monitoring and controlling is that all of the knowledge areas from integration to scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders, all of those knowledge areas have a project management process in monitoring and controlling. And what monitoring and controlling does is it reviews and it makes sure that what's planned is what actual. So it monitors and controls the progress of the project. That is extremely important. And yesterday, part 3 of the series, I talked about executing and how there are 3 baselines: the scope, schedule, and cost baselines, which are part of the triple constraint. And those 3 baselines do plan versus actual. So the corresponding knowledge areas of scope, schedule, and cost were not in executing. However, they're represented here because for monitoring, you're doing the actual progress. This is also the processing group where you get all of your change requests. So say, for instance, you planned in a planning processing group to do 100, to do 100 widgets. Well, you actually ended up doing 108, which is good. But that means that you probably have to do a change request because you probably have to reallocate resources to something because you're ahead of schedule. Now, being ahead of schedule is great, but that also means that you don't need as many people and as many computers or resources that you scheduled in the planning domain. So that's what monitoring and controlling domain is all about. It's all about correcting the work, whether it's good or bad, and to make sure that you properly manage the project schedule, make sure you don't have cost overruns, and make sure that you stay within scope. So a thing about monitoring and controlling is, I mentioned scope. Staying within scope, you don't want gold plating, especially if you're ahead of schedule. You should adhere to what's in the project management plan and only do those specifications. Oftentimes when people are ahead of schedule or they saved a lot of money or they have a lot of time on their hands, they want to add to the product. But that's not what the client wants. The client just wants you to do the work to the specification that's in the project management plan. So for monitoring and controlling, as I mentioned before, you want to monitor and control the work and make sure it still adheres to the project management plan, and you make any changes that are necessary. So the thing about change in the change request is there's a process. So anyone can't just make a change, as I mentioned before. When you make unauthorized changes, whether or not it's gold plating, it's a thing called scope creep. And scope creep is unauthorized changes. And that's something that you don't want as a project manager or project management team. And that often occurs in monitoring and controlling because, as I mentioned before, with the baselines, you're comparing plan to actual. And when sometimes on a project, you're actually ahead of schedule, that happens. So that's a concept that you have to be aware of, scope creep, when you're doing monitoring and controlling. Those are unauthorized changes. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to do a recap. The monitoring, controlling, processing group is the fourth of 5. It is where you evaluate the changes that are made, you monitor the progress, and if you need to make change requests, this is where you do it. Furthermore, I introduced 2 concepts of gold plating, where if you are ahead of schedule or you are under budget or you are within scope, you sometimes add to the specifications, but that is not what the client wants. So just make sure when you're a project manager that you adhere to what they asked for in the project management plan or in the contract. And the second concept I discussed was scope creep. So scope creep is unauthorized changes to the project management plan. And be mindful that in the monitoring and controlling, that the change request is a process and not everyone can approve a change, and that's done by design because you want to prevent or eliminate scope creep. So this is Carla Jenkins. This is this episode of Projectized. This is part 4. Come back for tomorrow for the closing, which is part 5 of this project management domain series. My name is Carla R. Jenkins, certified project management professional, certified Scrum and IDLE with over 12 years of experience in project management. You can watch all of the episodes on periscope.tv/Carla R. Jenkins. Moreover, I also have the Projectized show on Instagram TV. My universal social media handle is Carla R. Jenkins. So regardless of whether or not you're here on Periscope, Twitter, Instagram TV, LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, it's all Carla R. Jenkins. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can at info@carlarjenkins.com, carlarjenkins.com, as well as carlarjenkins.com. Click on the contact button. So you can share this, invite your followers. I greatly appreciate it. As I mentioned before, the 5th and final part of this series will be tomorrow about closing. I would like to thank all live and replay viewers for taking out the time to watch Projectized. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next live stream video. Goodbye.